And boy, oh boy, do I have a story for you. I just recently filmed a video reading a Craigslist horror story about somebody who encountered some crazy people. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. But within that video, I was telling you guys how like one of my biggest fears in the world is like somebody breaking into my house or hiding in my house or just like trying to murder me or steal me or something like that. I have had 2 different times in my life where somebody has actually broken into my house. And the first time it was 3 people. The second time I've already told you guys on my channel, that was when my family's stalker broke into my house while I was the only one there. Super scary story. I also have like an update on him if you guys want to hear it. I don't know if you do, just let me know, but he's been up to some shenanigans again lately, so I could definitely film an update video on that one. But we're not talking about him today. We are going to talk about the time when I was little that 3 men broke into my house. So I had told you guys that I basically like grew up at my grandparents' house, and I don't even remember the exact age that my mom got her own house. I want to say it was like between 7 to 10, somewhere around there. My mom actually went and we got our own house and everything. But either way, both homes that I grew up in, I was very fortunate to grow up in a very good neighborhood. And what I mean by good neighborhood is, you know, I could go outside, I could go and play wherever I wanted, come home when the street lights went down, and my mom never really worried. Like, I mean, parents always worry, but there was never really a concern for like bad people being in the neighborhood. Totally understand that there's bad people everywhere. I mean, in the best of neighborhoods, the worst people could live. And I know for a fact that in the worst neighborhoods, some of the best people live. So I'm not trying to like stereotype, but I'm just saying like overall, where I lived was a very, very good neighborhood. Now my backyard, you guys, was a 1/4 acre backyard, which doesn't sound like a lot. I mean, like it is a lot, but it's also like, I know people have acres of yards, but I grew up like in the city. So to have like a 1/4 acre backyard was amazing. Like I had a jungle gym, I had a trampoline, I had a really nice backyard, and like my backyard was the backyard that like all of my friends hung out in, so like that was fun. But there's a reason that I'm telling you this. It will come into play in just a little bit. But yeah, we had a really nice like big backyard. So I don't know if I've ever mentioned this. It's probably because to me it's kind of irrelevant, but my sister and I have different dads. I mean, to me it doesn't make a difference. My sister's my sister, whether or not we have different dads, whether or not she came from Venus. She's my sister, so I never really think of it as anything different. I don't call her like my half sister or my stepsister. She's my sister. But we have different dads, and when my mom had moved into this home, when we got this home, we moved into it with my sister's dad, and yeah. So how our upstairs was laid out was when you would get to the top of the stairs, right to the right was a bathroom, straight ahead was my bedroom, in the middle was my sister's, and like kind of around the corner with like 2 open like master bedroom doors was my mom and my sister's dad's room. Now my sister was pretty little around this time. I mean, she still drank like a bottle in the middle of the night, but she wasn't like a baby by any means. She's 4.5 years younger than me, so I figure if I was around like 7, she would have had to have been around like 3, something along those lines. Don't quote me on time frames because sometimes my memory and dates and stuff can get a little flustered or cloudy, but give or take around there. And I remember on this particular night, both my sister and I ended up in my mom's room, which was totally normal for my sister. She was like just breaking into sleeping on her own. But for me, I've always been a relatively independent child up until like the whole Bloody Mary in the mirror thing and the ghost in the basement, which I haven't even talked about the ghost in that house. Jeez, so many stories. Up until those points, I was really independent. I was really good at sleeping in my own room. So one way or another, we all end up in the same room, which wound up to be a blessing considering what was about to take place. So we're all in the same room and I'm sound asleep. My sister's dad is sound asleep and my mom's sound asleep, but my sister wakes up and she's fussy and she wants her like warm bottle in the middle of the night. So my mom gets up to go and get my sister her bottle. She's getting up, everything seems normal. She gets about halfway down the stairs and she says all of a sudden, intuition kicks in. I personally think it's spirit guides giving you warnings, but her intuition kicks in and she just has this sinking feeling to not go any further. So my mom peeks her head around the corner. And how it was set up was like our stairs came down to the front. Right there we had our front door. Around that corner like led to the kitchen. So you could semi see the kitchen, or like the middle area of the kitchen, like where the sliding doors and the dining room table were, from the stairs. So my mom peeks around the corner and our back door is open this much. And so my mom's like, that's not normal. We always lock our doors. What the heck? So she runs upstairs and she grabs my sister's dad. And she brings him halfway down the stairs. They peek around the corner and the door is fully open now. So he runs upstairs with her. He tells her, call 911, lock the door, don't come out for anything, keep the kids here. I'm gonna go figure this out. So he goes to go back downstairs. He peeks around the corner and now the door is shut. Except it was a rainy night and there are little footprints of wet all throughout the kitchen that he can see. So now he knows somebody is in our house. So he goes and he grabs, I believe it was my baseball bat, to be entirely honest with you, and he starts slamming around everything, opening up a closet, slamming it, opening up the laundry room, slamming it. And I remember at this point, I was awake upstairs and my mom's on the phone with the police. My sister's crying and my mom's saying, they're fighting, because she can hear all the slamming downstairs. They weren't fighting. It was like his tactic to like try to intimidate them or like scare them away, I guess. So I start freaking out and my mom's like, I'm going downstairs. And I remember hearing the dispatcher telling her, no, stay put with your kids. But my mom got all freaked out thinking that they were fighting. So my mom throws me on the phone with 911. So 911 starts talking to me and they're like, are you scared? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, we're gonna be there soon. And I'm like, how soon? And I'm really like afraid. I have no idea what's going on. There's somebody in the house. It was a nightmare. So upon my mom going downstairs, she realizes that there are like 3 different sets of footprints. One leading towards the basement, one leading towards like the side of the house, and one leading towards like the living room, laundry room area. So now she's realizing that they're outnumbered, and she's realizing that this could be like a very, very frightening thing. So my mom starts to yell out, we've called the police, blah, blah, blah. And now like my sister's dad and her are going upstairs to look. They have no idea where these people are, which just makes it all the more scary. So my mom's upstairs, she's back with us now, and he goes downstairs and the back door is now open again. And there's masked men out on the back porch flicking lighters at him as a threat. And the one guy says, we have weapons. And so he's torn between the fact that they have these like strong like torch lighters and the fact that they're outside and he can see 3 of them, so he believes they're all outside, and all of a sudden they turn and run and he goes to go after them. But by this point the police are banging on the front door. So he decides not to chase them. He decides to go to the front door and he decides to send the police. So the police go to the backyard. The police have dogs, they have everything, and the guys are nowhere in sight. They ran to the backyard, they hopped the fence, and like they left. So now they're looking around and they realize how they got in, and this is so strange to me. We had wood sliding back doors. They had cut with some sort of something, a little like C shape into our sliding door so they could stick their finger in and unlock it. Like, I didn't even know that doors were made able to be cut through like that, but apparently they were. The only thing that they stole was my sister's dad had business cards that looked like $20 bills, but like they were smaller and had different like they were legally like able to look like them because they were different enough that you could tell they weren't. But there was like a stack of them on the table, and I guess like maybe in the moment they thought that they were getting all these $20 bills, but it was just business cards. So they stole all of those, and they were never caught. Now, I had a friend named Amy who lived up the street, who I guess they had ripped into her family's car, so her car was destroyed, and a couple other houses were completely like vandalized and stuff. But regardless, it was just really freaky. And I remember thinking as a kid, because they never found them, that one of them was like maybe hiding in my house. And it was such a fear of mine. Now here's where the story gets kind of funny. So my friend Amy and I, We thought that we could be investigators. And like, you guys, it sounds like a cute little kid thing, but we thought that people would take us seriously. So we geared up and we went door to door asking people with our little notebooks, have you seen anything? Did anything strange happen on this night? Da, da, da. And people were like looking at us like we were crazy. And I remember my one neighbor played along, and looking back now, this is so sweet. She's like, yeah, I think there's something strange in my backyard. And she took us back there, and like we took notes like with our notepad, and like we thought that like we were really gonna solve this crime. So a few nights after the break-in, my friend is sleeping at my house, Amy. This is actually her real name, so hopefully she's like not offended that I'm using it, but whatever. So she's sleeping at my house, and I had bunk beds in my room at the time because like bunk beds are cool. Why wouldn't you want bunk beds? And I had walkie-talkies. And so we had put a walkie-talkie in the basement. This is kind of like the introduction to the ghost in this basement. This was not a nice ghost. I've never even like really thought about sharing this story either because it's not from my haunted house. It's from like my second house. But anyways, we put the walkie-talkie in the basement. And we had the other walkie-talkie upstairs in my room, and we were both sleeping on the top bunk of my bed. And all of a sudden I started to hear a voice crackling in the walkie-talkie. Cue next story with the ghost, but let me know if you guys want to hear that. And so I hear the voice, Amy doesn't hear it, but I freak and I climb down the ladder as quickly as I can, and I run and I'm like, Amy, they're down there. And I run into my mom's room and I'm like, Mom, 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 there's someone in the house, there's someone in the house. And all of a sudden, we hear Amy screaming in my bedroom, he got me! He got me! And so we go like rushing into the room, and I guess she tried to climb down my ladder so quick that the ladder fell on top of her. And she was like on the floor with the ladder on top of her, and it's like pitch black, the middle of the night. I just woke her up saying there's someone in the house, and she thought that like he had caught her. Oh my gosh, so crazy. But in the years to follow after this happening to me, all of those movies came out, like When a Stranger Calls, and you know, movies where like people are in your home and you don't even realize it. And I just always thought about the fact that somebody actually, 3 people actually broke into my house and were in there and like threatened with lighters, and it's just such a scary thing, and it's so frightening that people can and will do that. So needless to say, after that, my mom went out and bought those like door stopper things. Like, I don't know exactly what they're called, but it's like where you put them on the other side of a sliding door, so even if like it's unlocked, someone can't unslide it. So she ended up buying those, and we kind of lived a little bit on edge for a bit, but the police said that they didn't think that they had any intentions to actually harm us. They think it was just a robbery. But regardless, the idea of somebody entering your home that isn't supposed to be there is absolutely terrifying, and just initiated my fear for things like that. Well, you guys, that is it for today's story. The world's a crazy place, especially if you're Hailey Reese. Crazy things happen all the time. My friend Jerica always tells me like, Hailey, what is your life? Like, how do these things always happen to you? And I'm like, girl, I wish I knew. I wish I knew. But yeah. If you guys enjoyed today's video, but you are not yet subscribed, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. I post a ton of videos, so I don't want you to miss when I do upload. And please give this video a big thumbs up. It makes my heart really happy when you guys do that, so please do that. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness. And until next time, I love you.